I'm sweating. It's so hot in here. I'm literally sweating. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I know it's been a very long time since I filmed my last video. It has been a crazy few months, and my last video was kind of me just coming back from the summer. I went on lots of mission trips and it's just been kind of crazy. Lots of things going on. Where I'm at, it's not quite quarantine, it's more of a stay-in-home order. So not fully quarantined, but anyway, while we're in that, I'm trying to get back in the swing of filming and everything like that. So I figured the best way to kind of get back into the swing of things was kind of to show you guys what I would recommend from the drugstore, kind of like a drugstore starter kit, the products that I think are the best from the drugstore, like even better than high-end products. Also, a lot of people ask me on a regular basis, what are some good products from the drugstore? I don't want to spend a lot of money, but I want products that perform well. That's what we're going to do today. I'm going to go through every single category and give you the best of the best in my personal opinion. So yeah, before we get started, one more thing to note. I'm not in my normal setup. I am in my bedroom. Just kind of wanted to switch it up a little bit and make it a little bit more casual. You can see my little dog right there. Lila. Lila. If you guys want to see what products I would put in a drugstore starter kit, then just go ahead and keep watching. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go in order of how I would do my makeup. That's pretty much how I do these type of videos. I go in order of how I would apply my makeup. It just works the best for me and it helps me to not miss any of the products. I have them all laid out right next to me, so I'm super excited to kind of talk about them and give you guys my opinions. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with base products, and some of these, like I said, are going to be no surprise to you because I use them so often and they're just great products. I wear these products over high-end products because they work just as well for me, if not better. So this is such a sad product because it looks so nasty because I just finished it like yesterday. So anyway, if I'm going to recommend a moisturizer to anybody, it's going to be the e.l.f. Daily Hydration Moisturizer. This is the best moisturizer because it is so lightweight. It absorbs into your skin very quickly, but still keeps you hydrated throughout the day. I have oily skin, but I use this on a lot of clients that have dry skin as well. It's a great all-around moisturizer. I believe it's $10, but I'll be leaving all of the prices on the screen somewhere and link them down below so that you guys can see the prices, purchase them if you'd like to. But this is the best moisturizer I've ever tried. I love it. It's very similar to a water cream consistency. Let me see if I can actually, see if we can get any more out of here. So you can kind of see it's very, very lightweight and it's just a very light cream. I don't know if you're even going to be able to see that. But anyway, it's a great, great, great moisturizer and it is the best. It's the best that I've ever found and it's $10. So you really can't beat it. If you are more on the oily side, this is the primer that I would recommend. This is the One Heck of a Blot primer. This is from Soap & Glory. This is about $10 as well. And this is such a good primer that controls my oils without me looking dry. So I know a lot of mattifying primers that initially make my skin look really dry but don't actually help a lot with oils in the long run. But this one is really cool because you put it on and it feels super moisturizing. It doesn't feel super dry or anything. It dries down. It just feels like a powder finish and it really controls my oils throughout the day. Love this primer. And the other primer that I want to talk about is the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. If you guys saw my best of 2019 products, which I'll link up in the eye, this was the primer that I talked about because it is truly insanely good. I would recommend this one for any skin type. I use it for my oily skin. I don't find that it helps mattify my skin throughout the day. I do notice that I get greasy with this, but it doesn't get greasy to where my makeup breaks up, which is the biggest problem with oily skin, is having products just break up on your skin because the primers don't help. I don't feel that it really does smooth out my pores, so that's not that great, but I just find that this really helps my makeup last longer throughout the day. Anytime I wear this, I notice a remarkable difference. So good. I've probably gone through 3 of these. I love them so much. $8, I believe. So good. So base product wise, these are the best that I've ever found. Products you absolutely need in your kit, regardless of your skin type. Okay, now we're gonna move into foundations, and I had to be pretty picky. I find that any foundation gets oily on me throughout the day, and any of them crease on my smile lines right here. I have really bad issues with that. But these, I found these two foundations do it a lot less than a lot of other foundations. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Stick Foundation. This is such a good everyday foundation. It has about, I would say, high light coverage or low medium coverage. It's a great stick foundation. It lasts really well on my oily skin. I don't have any problems with this one breaking up or anything like that. I do get oily throughout the day, but it doesn't seem to break up or, you know, separate on my skin. This is such a good foundation. I think it's like $4 or $5. So good. Every time I wear this foundation, I love the way my skin looks. It's so good. And this one is probably no surprise to you guys. The other foundation that I would highly recommend for your kit or for someone that has either oily or dry skin is the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation. This is such a good foundation, and it is a little bit more of a higher price tag for the drugstore. I think it's like $11 or $12, but when I tell you that when I do client makeup, which most of the time is for wedding or some event, I always use this foundation. This foundation has an SPF of 25, but I don't find that it has any flashback. This foundation is so beautiful. I use it on all of my brides, on all of my clients. I have this in pretty much every shade, and I can just mix and match how I need to. It's such a beautiful medium coverage, but it's so undetectable. It can build up really well. I find that I crease a little bit on my smile lines with this one, but it's much less than it would be for any other foundation. It is so good. I love this foundation. I highly recommend it for everyone. If you came to me and you said, which foundation would you recommend? Like, out of any foundation ever, it would be this one. This one's a close second, but this one. So good. I'm obsessed with it. You guys need this in your kit. Okay, so this one was hard. For concealers, I feel like I'm not very picky, and I can pretty much do with any concealer as long as it has a little bit of coverage. But I would say the standout concealers from the drugstore are the e.l.f. concealers and the Covergirl True Blend Full Cover Concealer. True Blend Full Cover Concealer, which I just ran out of, so I don't have the actual tube of it, but I will pop it up on the screen somewhere. That's my favorite concealer of all time. I feel like it is a strong dupe, or even better than the Tarte Shape Tape concealer, and it's beautiful. It's full coverage. It doesn't crease. It is so beautiful. The best concealer, I want to say foundation every time. The best concealer that I've ever tried. I love it so much. But a close second is the e.l.f. concealers. I have the e.l.f. Camo Concealers in the matte formula and in the hydrating formula. So these are going to be for the person that wants a really full coverage matte finish on their under eyes, because stuff is matte. It dries really quickly. But this is one of the only concealers that I can literally wear all day, and I'll look at my under eyes and I'm like, how am I not creasing? How is it still staying put just like it was at the beginning of the day? This concealer is heavy duty. It's so good. If you're wanting to use it for every day, I would just take a couple dots and that's all you really need. The one thing I will say about these concealers is, I don't know if you can see on the packaging, they get so dirty because the actual, I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it. Let's see. Do you hear how that is? It just gets really, really, really messy. And I kind of am in between shades. I have to mix these two. But this concealer is so good. I think it's like $3 or $4. So good. So if you guys are not into matte full coverage, then I would go for the hydrating formula. This one claims to be the same amount of coverage as the matte version. I find that this has way less coverage, probably more of a medium coverage, and it's a lot less drying. I don't find that either of these look drying on my under eyes, but this one is a lot less drying in general. This is a great concealer as well. If you had me choose, I would prefer this one, but this is a really good concealer as well, and I think everyone will gravitate more towards, because it is more of a satin hydrating formula. But these concealers are so good, so inexpensive, so good. Okay, so now we're gonna move into powders, and probably won't be super surprised by any of these either, but let me go ahead and get the two that I already know that you guys are gonna know about. I cannot not set my under eyes with this powder. This is the best powder I've ever tried in my entire life. I feel like it competes with any of the high-end powders. This is the No. 7 Translucent Perfect Light Loose powder. This is probably $12 or $13 at Target, CVS, that type of thing. This is a little bit more pricey for drugstore, but this is the best powder for your under eyes. I notice a difference when I set my under eyes with this powder than when I do with other powders. It's so good. I just don't have enough good things to say about this powder. I would use this powder to set my whole face, but it's such a small little container, so I actually go in with the Coty Airspun Loose Translucent Powder, which I love just as much for setting my foundation. I use this on all my clients, and it's just a great all-around powder. It also is just so big. The biggest thing you'll have to worry about with this is the scent. It smells like straight grandma's, but not in a bad way. Like, grandmas don't smell bad, but it just smells like powder. Anyway, it's a great powder. You can set your under eyes with this, but I find that this is even better for your under eyes. I bake with this on my lower jawline, like sharpness of my contour. This is such a great powder, and it's so big. It lasts forever. I think it's like $5 or $6. So good, so inexpensive, and they're just great powders. So I want to talk about a couple more that are even more inexpensive than those two. And if you guys are not into the loose powder type of thing, I know it gets messy sometimes. I know it's just kind of a lot harder to deal with sometimes. If you are wanting a pressed powder, I would definitely go for the Rimmel Stay Matte. I have this in the translucent one. I find that that one's the best one. Otherwise, the other ones kind of darken my under eyes when I use these or set my face with this. This is one that I will put in my purse, and throughout the day as I get oily, I will take off the excess oil and then put this powder over it. Such a good powder. I think this powder is $3 or $4. It's so good. I love it so much. It's such an I've never recommended this to anyone and them not like it. Like, it's so good. And it's just an all-around good powder, super cheap, and lasts a really good amount of time. And then the last powder that I want to talk about, I love this powder so much. This is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder, and I have mine in the shade 05 Fair. So this is a really cool powder because it is loose. Like, this is the only one that I talked about that's pressed. This one is loose, but this one has such a brightening effect. I find that this one, over when you set your under eyes with this or bake your under eyes with this, that the powder is just so brightening, and it's the most soft focus finish. It's so beautiful. Anytime I put it like here on my cheeks or anything like that, I notice my pores like disappear. It's such a good powder, and they have tons of shades in this, so if you guys are wanting a loose powder that has a little bit of coverage, this is the one you're going to want, because it does have a little bit of coverage, unlike these other ones do. This one has some coverage. It's so good, and $4 or $5 from the drugstore. So good. Okay, let's move into bronzers. I literally only have one bronzer, and you guys are going to know what it is because I talk about it too much anyway. So the only bronzer from the drugstore, there is a lot of good bronzers from the drugstore, but there is one bronzer that stands out from the rest. Physicians Butter Bronzer. So good. Mine's really jacked up because I just use it so much. I also put some glue on this for eyelashes one time, and that was a bad idea. But anyway, this is the best bronzer of any bronzer that I've ever tried. High-end, drugstore, whatever it is. The most beautiful, soft, blendable powder. There's a shade that flatters pretty much everyone. It doesn't go as deep as I would like it, but almost anyone can find their shade in this. It smells like the beach. It's so good. It's a little bit more pricey. I think it's around $10, $11, $12, but it's so good. And I would pay $30 for this bronzer. I really hope it never gets to that price, but I would pay so much more for this bronzer than I do. It's such a good product. You will have no problems blending this powder. It's so good, and I would highly recommend it. It is the only bronzer you need in your life. Okay, so if you know me and if you watch my channel, you know that I love blush. Probably more than anything, but I'm not super picky when it comes to blush. As long as it gives me some color on my cheeks, I'm good. I usually do not like a more shimmery blush because I have a lot of texture and pores, so I usually try and stray away from a shimmery blush unless it's just really finely milled and doesn't really add to the texture of my skin. So with all of that being said, my favorite blushes are actually shimmery, which is crazy. But anyway, they are the Milani Baked Blushes. I have 3 shades here because I love them so much. One is more crusty than the other, which is the Milani Baked Blush in Luminoso. It is the greatest blush of all time. If you have to get one, get the shade. Get the shade Luminoso. It's so beautiful. And the other 2 shades that I have are Dolce Pink and Rose d'Oro. They are so beautiful, super inexpensive and leave you with this beautiful sheen without enhancing the texture on your skin if you have texture. And it just gives you the most youthful glow. You look so awake, so just beautiful. They're just so beautiful. I just don't know how else to say it. They're just so beautiful. Okay, let's talk about some highlighters. You guys know this is my favorite area of makeup to talk about. So I'm going to talk about a few highlighters, 3 to be specific, and each one is going to be more intense than the one before. So I'm going to talk about the most natural one first, and this is the Physicians Formula Powder Palette Mineral Glow Pearls in Translucent Pearl. That's a really long name. So this is what it looks like. It is so beautiful. You can't really tell what it looks like from the picture, and you can't tell what it looks like from a swatch, but I'll tell you what, when you put, let me see if I can even show you. When you put a brush in here and put it on your skin, it is just the most beautiful, subtle highlight. It looks so beautiful. I'm going to zoom you guys in for a second. So I already have lots of highlighter on. I'm wearing one that I'm actually not talking about today because I just filmed another video. But I'm going to take some of this and I'm just going to apply it right here on my forehead. And it's almost like one of those highlighters that just kind of adds like life back into your skin. So I don't know if you can see, I probably shouldn't have put it there because I have 2 pimples, but it's just so stunning here. You know what? No. We're going to put some on my cheeks. I know that's like not good with my texture, but I'm going to do it anyway so that you guys can see. It's just so subtle. It's so beautiful. It's just such a beautiful sheeny highlighter. I usually use this as a highlighter for my brides just because it is very undetectable until it hits the light. It's so beautiful, it looks very youthful and very natural, and that is why I love this highlighter. I wear this on an everyday basis. It's so beautiful. So let's move on to the next highlighter, and if I were to have to pick one of the highlighters out of the 3 that I love the most and that I would choose over the other 2, it would be this one. This is the Master Chrome Metallic Highlighter in the shade 250 from Maybelline. This is the most stunning highlighter ever. You can sheer it out, you can build it up, but on just a normal swatch, normal application on your face, it is pretty intense. You're not going to be able to fully see it, but this is a perfect shade for me in the fact that when I put it on, you can't really tell that I have it on until it hits the light, and it just beams. It's so beautiful. This is such a good highlighter. I will say that this is kind of a special shade, so you can't get this shade at Target, Walmart, CVS, Walgreens. You have to get the specific shade at Ulta because it is a collaboration with a YouTuber called Nikki Tutorials. So with that being said, you will have to go pick this one up at Ulta or online, but it is the best highlighter ever. It's so smooth but still gives you such a beautiful glow. I am obsessed with it. I love it very much. And the last one, even more intense than that last one, is the Wet n Wild Loose Highlighting Powder in the shade I'm So Lit. This is the most blinding highlighter you will ever wear, and you will never run out of it because do you see how big this is? This is like bigger than the powders I just showed you. It is $5 or $6 maybe at the drugstore. I'm going to show you a swatch. First of all, look at that. I haven't even swatched it yet. Okay, ready? Oh, that's not even going to do it justice. Oh, you can't even tell. It is the most intense highlighter of all time. And it is the most beautiful shade. It's like a champagne gold, so it has a little bit of pink and a little bit of gold in it. It's beautiful. It's the most inexpensive out of all 3. I feel like these outdo my high-end highlighters. Such amazing highlighters. You need them all in your life. Okay, so we're about to move into the eye portion of this video, but before we do, I want to talk about some cream products that I have been obsessed with recently. Because I have oily skin, I usually don't tend to go for more cream products, cream liquid products, but I've been so into it lately, and I love layering liquid products underneath and then putting powder on top, and it just lasts a lot longer. I do that with all of my clients just to ensure that their makeup lasts even longer. But I want to talk about some that I'm just really loving right now. These are cream blushes, and they're from e.l.f. and I have them in the shades Soft Rose and Soft Pink, Soft Peach, and they are just beautiful. This is the pink one and this is the peach one. They are so beautiful. I just stick the butt of my beauty blender in there. I'll just go like this and then just pat it on to my cheeks, and they're so beautiful, so radiant. If you're someone with dry skin, you wouldn't even have to set these. They just kind of glow on their own. They're so beautiful. But for me with oily skin, I definitely have to powder on top. So these are great blushes, and I love them, and they're so inexpensive. Probably like $3 or $4. Another blush that I love, those are cream blushes, and this one is a liquid blush. This is the Flower Blush Balm in the shade Pinched. So these remind me a lot of the Glossy Cloud Paints. They're a little bit more liquidy rather than moussey. Those are a little bit more moussey, but this is a beautiful shade. I love this peachy pink shade. I'm going to swatch it for you guys. And it's just so beautiful. It's not super dramatic. It sheers out. It's so beautiful. Flower Beauty products are some of my favorite from the drugstore, and these are just so good. They have so many shades, and these are a little bit more glossy than those last ones are. So if you're wanting something that's a little bit more skin-like rather than like glowy, you would love this. Okay, so out of all the cream products, this is probably my favorite one, and it's the newest find. So this is the Wet n Wild dual-ended contour stick. So it has a highlighter side, which is not a highlighter at all. It's just like a concealer stick, which I have not used. As you can see, it's brand new. But what I do love is the contour side, and this is in the shade light to medium. This contour shade is so perfect for every day. I will take a brush and I will just dab it on the top of it and then press it into the contours of my cheeks. And I love doing this before my bronzer, because I find that out of everything that I put on my face, I really like my bronzer to be the most prominent because I'm so fair, and I feel like it really just shapes the face. And this contour is so beautiful. I love it so much. It's not patchy. It doesn't take away the coverage of what's underneath it. It's just such a good product, and I think it's like $4. It's so good. Okay, so let's talk about some eye stuff. So when I do these type of videos, drugstore / affordable, I always get a little bit weary of mentioning brands like Colourpop or something like that, because they are drugstore sort of, but they're more affordable than they are drugstore. So like you would be able to find Colourpop products at Ulta, but you won't be able to find them at the normal drugstore like Target or Walmart or anything like that. But I do feel like if the drugstore is lacking in one area, it's in the eyeshadow area of your makeup. And I find that a lot of them are just too powdery. They don't last. They're just not good quality. But I will say, if you are wanting to go to the drugstore, excluding Colourpop, not having to go to Ulta or anything like that, I will say e.l.f. has done something with these little bite-sized eyeshadows. I only have 2 of them. I know there's a few more that I want to get my hands on, but y'all, these are so good. They make me speechless. Like, that's how good they are. So they're very little. I love how small they are. These are $3. I'm gonna have to get all of them. But what really surprises me about these shadows is the shimmers. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch a couple of them for you. This is from this is the Rose Water palette. This is the more pinky mauve-y one of the bunch. And these shimmers are truly high-end quality. They are so beautiful. They're so blendable, and they're super duper pigmented. I'm trying to show you in the light just kind of how they reflect. And their mattes are incredible too, at least in these 2 palettes. The biggest thing with e.l.f. for me is that they're very inconsistent. Some palettes are great and some palettes are not good at all. There's one of the 18 pan palettes that I have from them that is truly terrible. It's so bad. There's a few shades in there that are just easy to formulate, so they're fine, but there's some in there that are just truly terrible. And so I was super wary about these, but I've heard so many good things, and so I had to pick a couple up. This is the other one. This one's called Truffles, and this shimmer is insane. So that's the shimmer shade in this palette, and then I'm going to swatch the brown shades in here for you. And I'm actually going to swatch all of them because the black in here is insane. So these are the 4 in this palette, the Truffle palette, and these are so blendable. This is one of the blackest blacks I've ever found in a drugstore palette ever, which I know for most people black is like not something that you want to use, but it's so good for when you're just wanting to like line your what's it called? Your lash line. There we go. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. But anyway, then I would say pick these up. I haven't tried the other ones, so I can't recommend those. I would recommend these 2 out of all of them because I haven't tried the other ones. So the palette in Truffles and the palette in Rose Water. Okay, so if you are fine with shopping outside of the drugstore realm and going to Ulta or something like that, you need Colourpop palettes. I have so many. I have more that I didn't bring in here. But these are incredible. I think all of these, oh, almost all of these are Kathleen Light's collabs. So I just support every one of her collabs. I always get them because I'm obsessed with her. But anyway, so I have 3 of her collabs. This is the Zodiac palette, which I think, no, this one came out first. The Dream Street palette is the first one I got of hers, and this is such a beautiful palette. I mean, they're all beautiful. They're all just so beautiful. This is the next one, the Zodiac palette. This is her newest collab, which is called the So Jaded palette. She was the first one to collaborate with them on a bigger palette like this. It's so beautiful. I'm obsessed. If I could recommend one, I'd recommend this one just because it's the biggest one and you can get a lot of shades for the price. And this is another one which is not a collab with her, but this one is called You Had Me at Hello. And it's got a lot of beautiful neutrals, a little bit more mauve-y tones. Such a beautiful palette. And I think these palettes retail for like $15-ish. This one retails for I think $30-ish. So you can go online or go to Ulta and purchase these palettes. But Colourpop palettes are just as good as high-end palettes. And yeah, they're just so good. I would highly recommend them. But if you're not wanting to go the affordable route and wanting to go the drugstore route, grab those 2 e.l.f. palettes. So good. Okay, so let's move into mascaras. And you probably already know what I'm going to say. But I'm going to include 2 so that I'm not just including the one that you all know. If you, out of the blue, asked me what's your favorite mascara, recommend it to me now, it would be the NYX On The Rise mascara. This is the best mascara I've ever tried. Anyone that I've put on to this mascara has been so excited about it. It's been so good to me. It's such a good mascara. It does everything. It lifts your lashes, it gives you volume, it gives you length. Every time I wear this mascara, I wear this mascara on an everyday basis, and when I do wear it on an everyday basis, I wear about 1 coat. But when I go to more fancy places or I'm singing in church or anything like that, I will build it up to 2 to 3 coats, and everyone is like, are you wearing falsies? So good. I will say, and I mention it every time that I mention this wand is the worst. It's very pokey. You have to get used to it. It's definitely a learning curve, but it separates your lashes so well, and I don't think this mascara would work as well if it had any other wand. But I would say a close second is the Essence Lash Princess Mascara. This is such a good mascara. It does everything that you want it to do. It gives you length, it gives you volume, and it's like $4. But this one is just as good. These are such good mascaras. I have not found a single high-end mascara that works better than these 2. So good. And if you want to get a little fancy, put this one on first and then put this one on second. So beautiful. Okay, so next is lip products. So I don't really have a preference when it comes to lip liners. I just want something that's going to stay on my lips and going to not be super hard but not super creamy. And I love the Colourpop lippy pencils. I actually have the full box of lippy pencils right here. Let me show you guys. So this is every single Colourpop lip liner, which I know there's like some crazy colors in here. They're amazing. I love them. I would recommend Colourpop lippy pencils. I think one single one is like $6 or $7, super inexpensive, and they're so beautiful. I have one on right now. I have this one. This one is in the shade Oh Snap. I have it on and then blended out, and then I put on a gloss on top. But okay, 2 more things. We're gonna talk about the actual lip products and a setting spray, but let's talk about some lip products. So the first product I want to talk about is the L'Oreal Color Riche Shine lipsticks, and I have mine in the shade Glossy Fawn. First of all, if you're wanting some pretty packaging in a lipstick, look at how pretty. It's so beautiful once you take off the little price tag, which I have not. But anyway, this is such a beautiful color. I'm obsessed with it. This is in the shade Glossy Fawn, so it has a really pretty shine to it, but first of all, they smell so very yummy. It smells like a vanilla cupcake, but it has a good amount of pigment, but also has some shine, so it's just really pretty for every day. Let's just go ahead and put that on real quick. I'm obsessed, and they have so many colors, and these are great. These are a little bit more expensive from the drugstore because L'Oreal just in general is like a little bit more expensive, but they're so good. If you like a balmy lipstick, this is what you need right here. The next product that I'm going to talk about is the Rimmel London Kate lipstick in the shade 14. If I could pick one nude to wear for the rest of my life, it would be this one. This is a beautiful mid-toned nude. It's not too mauvey, it's not too warm, it's just perfect. So this is just the most beautiful nude. It's got a satin finish, it's not super glossy, not super matte, and it's just beautiful and I love it. And you need it in your life if you are around my skin tone. And this one has a little bit less of a shade range. There's not a lot of shades in it, but this formula is really, really good. Okay, so let's talk about some long-lasting lip products. This is the Wet n Wild Mega Last Liquid Catsuit Matte Lipstick in the shade Rebel Rose. That is a very long name, but this is their liquid lipstick formula, like it says in the name. But anyway, this is such a good formula. It definitely is a little bit more drying, but it's not too drying. I don't know how to say it's drying, but it's not too drying. I have the most chapped lips of anybody that you will ever know. I always have chapstick on me because my lips are so dry, and I find that this doesn't dry out my lips too badly, but it lasts forever. It's such a good formula, and it's like $4 or $5 from the drugstore. Such a good range in this formula, and it's just so good. Okay, lastly, if you are someone that likes something that lasts long but do not like the feeling of a matte liquid lipstick, I got you. And I just discovered these a little bit ago, which it's funny because this is probably one of the older kind of techniques when it comes to long-lasting lipsticks. They've always had the kind of like put on the color, put on the clear thing on top of it, and then it lasts forever. But I've noticed that a lot of those are really hard to get off, and people just don't really gravitate towards that formula. But these are so good. This is the Covergirl. I don't know what the name of this is called, but this is in the shade 930. But it comes like this and with another one that looks just like this in a clear form, and it's like a balm, and they come in like a set. I don't have that because I gave it to a client and I hadn't used it yet, so I don't have that with me. But this color, first of all, is beautiful. It's a beautiful mauve color, and it's like an in-between. It's not sheer, but it's not super pigmented either. So you put this on, you let it sit for a minute, and then put the clear gloss on top of it, and literally your lips are juicy and beautifully glossy all day, but it does not budge. Not even transfer at all. It's insane. I don't know how it works, but it's amazing, and I love them. So if you guys are in the market for a liquid lipstick that lasts long, but you don't want the drying formula of it, this is what you need right here. Okay, we are on the last product, people. I know this has been a long video. So this one is definitely a recommendation for more of my oily skinned girls. So this is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Matte Finish Setting Spray. They have this in a lot of different formulas, so I'm gonna go ahead and recommend any of those. I have used all of their setting sprays. I love them all, but I wanted to specifically talk about this one. This is such a good setting spray. I find that it does prolong my makeup. I find that it does melt my products into my skin. It doesn't make my skin look dry by any means, but it's such a good long-lasting setting spray, and it is pretty small, but it's super inexpensive, and I just stock up on these when they go on sale. So yeah, I would highly recommend this setting spray, any of the setting sprays from Wet n Wild, but specifically this one if you need your oils to settle down and take backseat. That's all I'm saying. Okay guys, so I think that is it for my recommendations from the drugstore. If you're looking for specific products to get that you don't want to spend a lot of money on, these are the products that I would recommend. These are the products that I stand by, the products that I think work just as great, if not better, than high-end products. So yeah, that is it for this video. If you guys liked it, please give this video a big thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below and subscribe to my channel before you leave. Bye guys, see you in the next video.